Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast, and I am your host, Samuel. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire country. And it doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing to diagnostic lab, you name it. You will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 5% performer within your role in sales, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Samuel, and today we have with us another special guest, and he goes by the name of John Crowder. Now, John is a sales leader that comes from the healthcare sales space that's been in the industry for over 25 years. He's worked for companies like Roche, Santa Fe Aventis, Gilead Sciences, BI, and even Zoll. And now he works for a company called Integrity Solutions. So what exactly does Integrity Solutions do? They bring coaching training solutions to sales reps and get them to sell effectively to their customers, all based on integrity and, of course, driving true value to the providers. But I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to give anything away. You're going to have to listen to the episode. We truly get into the nuggets of what it means to sell effectively. So as always, thank you for listening to the Medical Sales Podcast. We do our best to bring you guests that are bringing innovation and different and new ways to make medical sales the amazing industry that it is. And I really do hope you enjoy this interview. Hey, John, how are we doing today?
Wonderful. How are you doing?
Fantastic. No complaints. Why don't you tell the audience who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm John Crowder, and I'm the Vice President of Healthcare for Integrity Solutions.
Okay, so Integrity Solutions. Before we address what you do as Vice President, what is Integrity Solutions, and what exactly do they do as an organization?
You know, Integrity Solutions goes back about 50 years, and really what we do is help develop people in two main categories, selling skills and leadership skills. And so we cross a wide array of industries that could be in the commercial industry and financial industry, in different organizations, as well as the healthcare.
Okay, so one of the reasons why I loved having you on the show today is because you come from a medical sales background. I mean, and you've worked with some of the best companies, all leadership roles, and ultimately landed with Integrity Solutions. So let's dive a little bit deeper. Walk us through what it looks like when a company finds Integrity Solutions and wants to enroll their services. What exactly is happening and what exactly gets executed?
Well, there's a variety of things. And first of all, we try to live the model that we promote to our colleagues and to our clients. And that is, let's seek to understand what their challenges are. So we usually have a lot of customer interactions with them, understanding what their needs are. And then through a series of meetings, we develop a process or a system that best addressed the sales or leadership training needs of that organization.
Got it. So when you develop these frameworks for the organization, are you staying with the organization through the execution of it? Or is it more of a, we're going to give you something to operate from? I mean, how does it typically work?
Now, we've got a pretty comprehensive program. So we do the initial discovery process, then we take them through the implementation process, and that extends on sometimes to multi-year contracts. As a matter of fact, our largest and longest existing customer in the healthcare space has been an advocate and a utilizer of our product for 28 years.
28 years. Okay, so then this is something I think is insightful for all of us. So I think the notion is a company puts energy into its own sales training program. You know, just think of any random company, Pfizer, Medtronic. They have their own sales training program that they have in-house people work on, and anybody that comes to the company goes through it. Is that not quite the picture? Is it more like companies like that would find a company like yours, and you're working with that company, like you said, over a long-term relationship to help them roll out the training that they've been rolling out?
You know, it's a little bit different. What we offer is probably quite different than traditional medical selling skills. If you go back and you look at the skill set that most individuals acquire when they come into the industry, it really centers around messaging activity, talking about our product, and activity with customers and how often they receive our message. We typically work with advanced selling skills, with advanced consultative skills, which are different skill sets. So a lot of organizations that may have a sales model don't probably follow the prescription that we deliver or the method that we deliver to them, which is why they contract us in.
Got it. When do companies realize they need someone like you? What's typically happening with the organization that says, hey, John, where are you? We need the help. Get over here.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's a variety of different things, but I think a lot of it starts with access. Our reps can't get in front of people. There's a failure to engagement. We can't close for the next item. We're having turnover issues. We're not having people achieve their sales goals. There's frustration. There's low employee engagement. So there's all these signals. And I think from a management perspective, what happens is that you see managers who begin to believe that they can lead their team from behind their desk. That's a huge mistake. And we hear that from our clients. Our reps are not engaging customers at the level that they need to, that they're capable of. And our reps, or excuse me, our sales managers are not out in the field working side by side collaboratively with our sales teams. They say, I'm too busy to coach.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's
Mm-hmm.
their number one responsibility, in our opinion. So how can you not give service to what is we see as your number one opportunity to impact organizational success?
Absolutely, absolutely. So then your services kind of help managers have better relationships with their teams. Maybe I'll give an example. You have a company and the managers maybe trying to lead from behind the desk. They're not getting to the field much. You come in, you I guess do a session or a series of sessions with those managers, give them a whole new way of looking at things, and now they go back into the field and show up differently.
Absolutely. And what we say is that if you want your sales reps to become consultative sellers, you have to develop consultative leaders. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens to most managers when they become managers? They're typically high performing sales reps, and they get into a role where management is telling people what to do.
Right.
And eventually they become tired. It's called management fatigue. They become tired of telling people what to do, and they don't feel like there's a value exchange here. So they say, well, the best way I can support you is by making sure that everything from an operational perspective is taken care of. Well, there's a
Mm-hmm.
deeper, more meaningful way to engage people with value. And what happens is we teach them how you work with your reps in a consultative manner, and therefore you're able to bring more value, and it improves the relationships. And the best compliment that a rep can give a manager, in my opinion, is when they call you and say, hey, I've got a big deal, I've got an important meeting, I've got something that's really significant for our business, and I need you there with me. When your reps start doing that,
Mm-hmm.
you've made the transition to being a great coach.
I love it. I love it. How long does it typically take from your experience to go into an organization and work with their leaders and they're doing it the way they're doing it and then they kind of finally attain what your model is trying to get them to attain? How long does that typically take, that transition?
I think it's never ending. And I say that with all sincerity. You can't win the junior Olympics and then go to be an Olympic champion and not continue to train in that interval,
Absolutely.
right? If you look at any dominant sports athlete, they train continually, they're on their game continually. We all need continual development. So,
Absolutely.
in general, we don't ever give up. You can begin to establish foundational skills in about 2 to 3 months, but it's an ongoing process. And having taught this for 25 plus years now, I still learn little tidbits when I facilitate classes where the participants share ideas or concepts with me that I had never considered before. So even after 25 years, I'm still learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's take it back to medical sales and let's talk about what you do in the space of medical sales. I think for people to really get a true appreciation for what companies like yours, Integrity Solutions, is doing, is to understand what the state of, sales rep is in, and the other side of what good looks like. So take us to the state of medical sales today. What would you say are some of the issues that are glaring, that are getting in the way of sales reps being more effective, sales reps being everything that you believe a sales rep should be? What's the issue right now?
I think it goes back probably 25 or 30 years, and I call this a generation of tellers. And we
Generation.
have to we
Right.
have to understand the psychology, of people. Most people come into the sales process with the belief system that selling is talking about my product. And that is true. You have to be able to talk about your product, especially in our field, because it's so governed by the FDA. It's so litigious. We're so restricted. There's so much oversight. So you have to be able to speak about your product in a certain way. The outcomes are very serious.
Sure.
But what happens is that when people come into sales and they believe that selling is talking about their product, and we give them information, and it just emboldens their belief system that they want to talk more about their product. So we give them disease state knowledge. We give them product knowledge. We give them competitive knowledge. We give them marketing talk points and strategies and features and benefits. And all of this emboldens in that individual that, hey, I got to talk about my product. I got to go out and give my message. And then the icing on the cake is we give them activity metrics. We tell them, this is who you have to go to. This is how many times you have to give the message. And so all of a sudden, my belief in sales is it's about me talking and it's about activity. Well, that doesn't work well with our customers. 25 or 30 years of us talking at our customers has led to message fatigue. The customers don't want to hear you talking at them anymore. It's devalued what we can do as professionals. We're capable of so much more than just delivering a message. And it's kind of watered down the talent pool, because it said the talent pool is about delivering a message. It's about giving support. It's about delivering a service. And it's not really about changing the way prescribers practice medicine. I'm not saying it works, right? Features and benefits selling, the messaging campaign, that generated billions upon billions of dollars for the industry. Sure. And it works in a Me Too population where I'm selling one statin versus another, or one ACE inhibitor versus another, where we don't really have to bring about change. Because what I will tell you, Samuel, is that changing somebody's prescribing habits and changing the way they practice medicine are two different skill sets. I'm not going to be able to message you to change the way you manage a patient population. I'm going to have to consult with you and understand and have a deep dialogue about how you bring about change. How's that going to benefit you if you bring about this change, and what it's going to cost you if you don't.
You got to say that again. I mean, that was pretty profound. Say that again, the difference between only changing prescribing habits and influencing behavior.
So, you have to think about the law of large numbers. Most people come in the industry in the primary care level selling Me Too products.
Sure.
And so they become mentally conditioned that I can change your prescribing habits by messaging you and by call, reach, and frequency, right?
And you would support that it has worked to an
It has worked. Yeah, if you're selling a Me Too drug, I don't need
Sure.
to sell you what a statin does. We all know what it does. I just need to sell you the features and benefits of my statin versus my competitors, and I need to show you that I care and that I'm nice. It's rapport building, right?
Sure.
If I want to change the way you manage these patients, that's a different skill set. That's an advanced skill set. I'm not changing your prescribing habits. I'm changing the way you practice medicine. And what you have to know is this: how do you currently treat them? How do you want to treat them? If you change how you treat them, what are going to be the benefits? And if you don't change how you treat them, what's it going to cost you, your practice, and your patients? So that's a different skill set. It's a different discussion. That's me opening up and being in a position where I feel confident to ask you questions, to genuinely want to understand where you're coming from. I want to seek to understand before being understood. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? I mean, it's a beautiful rule. And so if I do that, I expose myself. People are afraid to do that because all of a sudden I may get in a position where I'm not controlling the conversation by talking at you with a message that I've been scripted to give you. Now I'm a little bit more vulnerable. So there's a little bit of nerves that people have to overcome to open themselves up when they ask an appropriate question. But the benefit that you get in the relationships that you build, and people going, wow, you care what I say? People don't buy because they understand you. They buy because you understand them. And then you're able to become a problem solver. You want to talk about employee engagement? Think about this. Here's your script. Here's your activity metrics. I want you to go out and I want you to give this message. Think about the numbers on this. Let's say you had 100 customers. And the old rule used to be that the customers had to hear the message 8 times. Well, 8 times 100 is 800. Let me tell you something. The reps never got to 800. They got to about 350, and the customer didn't get message fatigue. The rep did. So now all of a sudden, my engagement with my customers and my engagement in my job goes down. Now, compare that to this. I become a consultant. I understand how to take you through this evolution of discovery. You may not even see it yourself on how you can improve not only how you care for these patients, but your practice, your facility, your staff. I can improve all of this. And I take you through that discovery. Now I'm a problem solver. I'm no longer a messenger. I'm no longer a walking, talking commercial. I'm a consultant, and I can help you change the way you manage disease states as opposed to trying to message you into that. It's a different feeling. It gives people a different level of confidence and comfort, and their employee engagement goes up. And when the manager learns to work with them in that realm as well, you want to talk about collaboration and really moving the needle.
Yeah.
And that's how you help retain good people too.
I like it. Tell me this. When you have this, and we'll go to this example that you just gave, the rep that was giving the 8 was trying to get to the 8 messages versus being a consultative seller. What have you seen as the biggest barrier to helping those reps get to the other side, becoming those consultative sellers? What consistently gets in their way that just makes it very difficult for them to make that transition that you've seen?
Yeah, it's their belief system. They're literally mentally conditioned that messaging and activity are the benchmarks for success.
Period.
And they go out and they're just literally mentally conditioned around that. So they want to go out and execute that time and time again. We have to pull them back. The first thing that we do is we help them re-envision what their view of selling is. We start with their mindset. If you look at most consultative companies, right, they're going to start with skill set. We say, hang on a second, we can change your skill set, but if your belief system isn't in right alignment, you won't adopt those skills. You won't execute them.
Right.
The skills have to be aligned with what your view of success and accomplishment looks like. So we start with the mindset, then we teach the skill set, and then over a period of follow-up, we teach them how do you really apply it. And that's what's key with us as well. It's a little bit different. I sat through 20 years of management training.
Sure.
And 99% of them, they take you in there once a quarter, and it could be a variety of topics. It could be hiring skills. It could be conflict management. It could be situational leadership. There's all kinds of them out there, and they're great. There's real value in them. But if you're not in the mode where you're handling a conflict on your team, and I got trained on conflict management 6 months ago, how much of that am I going to retain? Almost none of it, because there was no application. Right. So we know statistically that in about 48 hours, when you sit through one of those courses, unless you get immediate feedback and immediate coaching, in about 48 hours, you're going to forget 75% of what you were taught. So we don't do that. We take them through real world exercises on the concepts as soon as the class is ended, so that they begin to shape and change how they operate on a daily basis as professionals.
Wow. Got it. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and let's go to your background now. I think the audience needs to hear where you came from, because you're giving us all this insight. They need to know where you got it all from. So take us back to college, and you're coming out of college. I'm sure you weren't thinking, I'm going to be a vice president of a company called Integrity Solutions one day. That's my goal. What was your goal, and what was the transition, like the first career out of college?
Well, it's kind of interesting how things tend to come full circle. I always wanted to be a teacher and a coach.
Okay.
That's my passion. And so you have to find the right environment to be able to do that. And for me, it's not teaching second graders or high schoolers, right? There's another way to become a teacher and a coach. And for me, that's working with adults. I started out as a college football coach, fit my need to want to be a teacher and coach. And I spent 6 years doing that. I spent a couple of years at Marshall University where I played, and then I went to the University of Maryland, and I ended up at the United States Naval Academy, where I was also a commissioned officer in the Navy, and I really loved it. However, it's a pretty tough lifestyle, and I say this with all sincerity. It's 100 hours a week for 4 straight months with no days off back in the day, and it can be really hard on families. And so I wanted to still continue to coach and teach, but I just thought there was a better environment for me to be able to do that. So I got into medical sales about 30 years ago, 1995, actually.
Got it. So from coaching into medical sales, how did you discover that? Where did you even learn about medical sales? I mean, who turned you on, or what turned you on to it?
Well, one of the guys that was my coaches in college that he's my best friend today. We ended up working together for a number of years. His wife was in pharmaceuticals. And so I knew a little bit about the industry, and she actually helped me get in along with a couple other people at the academy. And so it was a great opportunity. I was just looking for another career path. I have My degree is in exercise physiology, so I have a little bit of a science background and enjoy that part of what we do in our industry. And I just thought it was a good fit. And I enjoyed the sales process. I enjoyed being competitive and trying to establish yourself as a top rep. But I always had the dream of getting into a leadership role where I could lead my own team.
So you left coaching, you became a manager at Roche, and then after Roche, what happened?
Well, I started out as a rep at Roche, and I had, and it was great, awesome company. And I will say this along the way, Samuel, I have such great mentors, such great leaders, people that when you're working for somebody that gets it. And I have so many stories that I share when I teach this course about great leadership, not from my perspective as the teacher, but as the student. And so I started out as a rep. I left there and joined a small startup company that ended up growing into Aventis, which got merged with Sanofi
Okay.
Aventis.
Right.
And then I bounced around the industry till I got into medical device sales about 10 years ago.
10 years ago. What was the biggest transition for you in the way, because, the examples we use, it sounds like pharmaceutical sales, but, you're applying this across pharmaceutical and medical device sales. What would you say the biggest transition was in the way pharmaceutical sales reps sell compared to the way medical sales reps sell, and how Integrity Solutions coaching applies to both? Like,
Yeah.
Give us some of the differences, just so people that come from both industries that are listening right now can kind of see how you guys see it.
Yeah. So, it's really interesting because people feel that the selling skills from one industry to the other are significantly different. And in some regards, that's true. Again, if you're selling a Me Too primary care drug, there's a
Sure.
different skill set and a different drumbeat that you have when you're working in the cath lab, let's say, right? But let me just say this. Selling a statin is a statin is a statin, and this may be controversial, but selling a stent is a stent is a stent, right? It's not, you're not selling what the stent does. We all know what they do. They all may just do it a little bit differently. And so that comes down to messaging. So what I would say is this, a couple of things. Number one is if you want to make the transition from pharma to medical device, many people have gone back and forth. It can be done. Don't be intimidated by it. And, a lot of the skills that we see, because we work with major medical device companies, it's probably our biggest percentage of our healthcare market. And the skill sets are pretty universal. It's all about, I believe that I have to use the magic of my words to talk you into using my product. And we say, no, don't put that pressure on yourself or your customer. Take it off. Let's have a dialogue about what we can do to change how you manage your patient population and how we can improve it. Then I'm willing to partner with you. I'm willing to collaborate because you're not talking at me. You're coming to me to say, how can we do this together? You have to retrain people into that skill set.
And I like the fact that you said train, because I would like to say that providers these days, they're trained to hear a marketing message. And sometimes when reps try to have dialogue with them, they want to cut the conversation short and get to just give me the marketing message so I can get on with my day.
Yeah. And you know what? That does happen, but it depends on your view of what you're trying to accomplish and what your goal is. Because if you just talk at them, they may hear what you have to say, but it's also easily for them to discard it, right? To discount what you have to say. They're placating you. And they've been conditioned to do that. Just like in our industry, we've been conditioned to give them that message. And so if I have something important to talk to you about, I don't want you to just give me 90 seconds at the scrub sink. If it's really going to change how you manage that cardiogenic shock patient that's it's coming into your cath lab right now,
Right.
don't you think I deserve more than 90 seconds? Don't you think that patient does? So it's your
Absolutely.
perspective of yourself and what you're trying to accomplish. Am I goal oriented? I'm not going to let them placate me into mediocrity, right? I'm not, what I have to talk to you about is more important than, hey, I want to talk to you about this. When's the right time for us to get down? Because I really want to understand where you're hoping to take your practice, what your outcomes are, how you'd like to improve this. Now, all of a sudden, they see you differently versus somebody that's just trying to give me a message. So I don't want them to pigeonhole me in that role.
No, it's very true. It's very true. So as Integrity Solutions, you guys work beyond medical sales. You guys work with all types of companies. Give us just the breadth of who you guys serve.
Yeah.
Give us some of the differences, just so people that are listening right now can kind of see how you guys see it.
Oh my gosh, it's really big. And I'm going to just share it. I don't know how many of these companies we're allowed to share. So I can tell you, you can look it up on our website. So BASF is a company of ours,
Sure.
right? New York Life, we've done work with them. People's Bank,
Huge.
Coventry
Okay.
Health. I mean, there's
Got it.
railroads, there's hospice organizations, there's senior living organizations. So we have really quite a broad reach. We're in 130 countries. We've trained over 3 million people. We've got 25,000 certified facilitators that can go out and teach this stuff.
Yeah.
So we've been around for 50 years. It's a well established product.
Love it. So your background is medical sales, and I need the audience to hear this. I mean, you've worked at Gilead Sciences, CV Therapeutics, like you said, Santa Fe Venice, BI. I mean, gosh, Zoll. You've worked at a lot of different companies. You've been in both pharma and med device, and now you're working with a company that serves, gosh, so many different industries in sales and leadership. I think the common belief is medical sales is different than any other kind of sales. Medical sales leadership is different than any other kind of leadership because in the medical sales space, you're dealing with patients' lives and impacting patient outcomes. But you get a vantage point that a lot of people that say that do not have. Would you say that when it comes to medical sales, there is just stark differences that can't be denied, or would you say that there's actually more of a common problem that every industry faces when it comes to developing sales and leadership?
I think in general it's universal. If you look, if you read some, and this may be a year or two old, the data, but if you look at employee engagement in the United States, it's about 30%. And the number one factor, 30% of employees are engaged in what they do on a daily basis. Imagine how that impacts productivity, right? And well-being of that individual who doesn't feel engaged by their job, right?
Right, 70
So the number,
percent are not engaged.
yeah.
Wow.
And so, the number one factor that impacts employee engagement, leadership. So it doesn't matter whether it's our industry or other industries, it's universal, right? So we are known as being a consultative sales company. We teach advanced selling skills, but we try to position all of this in all of its worthless. It's all a waste of time and money if leadership doesn't buy into it. If leadership doesn't practice the skills and treat people with empathy and understanding and a desire to understand where they want to go and take their career and help them get that way. If I can model that as a leader, I can get my team to model that when they interact. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I think it spans all industries in what we do. And we think there's a real need for both sales and leadership development in every space that we work in.
Yeah, no, I think you did answer my question, and you pretty much said that it's universal. It's a common problem in every industry, and I guess the models that you guys have are able to serve all these different industries, including medical sales.
Yeah. I think it's so easy. I looked at LinkedIn all the time and it says, this is what you should be doing. It's easy to talk about the what.
Mm,
It's more important for leaders to talk about, okay, how are we going to get there? Now, if
mm,
I tell you how we're going to get there, that's being a manager. As a coach, I want to understand, how do you think we should get there? How would you do it? This is the value that I can bring in helping us get there. And the thing about leading is this: why is it important? Let's say you and I have a discussion on not only just what to do, but how we're going to accomplish that. But then we understand, why is it important this way? Why is it important to our clients? Why is it important to the patients? Why is it important to the hospital? Why is it
right,
important to us as professionals?
right.
All of those things are a part of being great leaders. And that's a big part of what we teach.
Gotcha. Got it. Okay. So, how do you make the dream work, John? You've had such a long career in medical sales as a leader. You're with Integrity Solutions now. What's your setup? Do you have kids? Do you have a family? Are you a guy that just has all the time in the world and can make all these things happen? How do you make it all work?
Yeah, I just am so blessed in that world. My wife is just awesome. We have been together for 18 years, and we have two wonderful children. And I'm just really, really blessed in that department. I've certainly, like a lot of people, made my mistakes, but I learned from them. And then if you know yourself, and I just want to use this as an opportunity. Part of what we teach is if I know others, I'm learned. If I know myself, I'm wise. So part of what we teach is this self-awareness piece. And years ago, I went through this discovery process to understand who I am as a person, what's important to me. And that led me to my wife today. which brings it back to family, which is what I want to tell you. So when I know that and I have that goal clarity and that confidence, it helps me
Yeah.
make better decisions.
I love it. I love it. What grounds you? What's that philosophy that you operate by that when the days just getting incredibly difficult or you're going through some really trying times kind of brings you back and keeps you grounded to move forward and keep doing what you got to do?
Yeah. I've been blessed with a belief system that my success and my joy comes through helping others. I'm hardwired as a teacher and a coach. And so that's what grounds me. If I can just, there's this battle in the world between light and darkness, and light overcomes darkness when it comes from you and you can share that with others. And so I believe in that. And I believe that the more we commit ourselves to helping others be successful, just like people have done for me, out of the generosity and kindness of their own hearts, if we extend that forward to other people, then we have a chance of enjoying that ourselves. It comes back to us manyfold in a variety of ways.
I agree. I agree. All right, John, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience and leave? Remember, our audience are people that want to get into the industry, people that are in the industry, and people that are leading the way. Any last messages you'd like to share with our audience members today?
Yeah, my message is this, is that the industry is going to try to pigeonhole you, for lack of a better word. They're going to give you a certain set of skills and they're going to put you in a certain category. And I'm going to say, resist that. Invest in yourself, believe in yourself, commit to expanding your ability to be an executive salesperson with advanced selling skills, an executive level leader. Because believe me, the skill set between an entry level person and an executive level person and the complexity of sell, the skill sets are different. And the same thing applies to leadership, right? The CEO has a different set of skills than the frontline leader. So invest in yourself and believe in yourself that you can do more. Make a plan that gives you a sense of your ability to move forward and then go after it. Don't be pigeonholed. Don't be restricted.
Got it. One question I'll ask you, and then we'll jump to the lightning round here. We've talked a lot about people need to get after it. People need to believe that the training doesn't end. If you're a salesman, sales training should continue. If you're a leader, leadership training should continue. Where can people get this kind of assistance?
Well, clearly, we'd love for people to consider us at Integrity Solutions. We think we've been around for a long time. We have a great clientele, and there's a reason for it. We're a proven product, and we're continuing to grow. And it's interesting because a lot of, it's whether it's industry or sales or whatever, the fancy, the buzz of the day or whatever, it comes down to connecting with humans, right? If I feel good about what I do, I will execute my leadership skills and my selling skills. And if I don't feel good, then I'm not going to do it. And so regardless of what the buzz of the day is, it comes down to do people feel good about the interaction and can they execute it? Because if not, it's a waste of time and effort. And that's what we really feel that we've demonstrated over the last 50 plus years.
I agree. Okay, John, this has been wonderful. We're going to jump to the lightning round. I'm going to ask you a series of 4 questions. You have less than 10 seconds to answer them. And are you ready?
I'm absolutely ready.
All right. Best book you've read in the last 6 months?
Oh my gosh, it's by Doris Kearns Goodwin, Team of Rivals.
Team of Rivals.
Yeah, it's
Give
about
me a little bit. What's that about?
Abraham Lincoln. It is an unbelievably good book. It's hard read because it's written in kind of old English style, but great book.
Okay. All right. Best movie or show you've seen in the last 6 months?
Right now, we are watching a show called Reboot on HBO, or I believe it what it is. And it's just kind of a sitcom. And that's my wife and I try to find something to watch together. So that's what we're watching right now.
Good old family time. All right. Best meal you've had in the last 6 months?
Oh my goodness. There's a restaurant in Ocean City, Maryland called Liquid Assets, if I'm allowed to say it. And it's in a strip mall. It's a liquor store. You wouldn't think of it. And it converted it into a restaurant. Unbelievably good food.
Really? Liquid Assets. Okay. Next time I'm in Maryland, I'm going to have to try it. And then best experience you've had in the last 6 months?
Best experience I've had in the last 6 months, probably just watching my kids grow and make the transition to middle school and high school. And you see them make that leap. And it can be a little like you're nervous, but you want to see them make that transition and be successful. And that's what we've done. And it's been a lot of trying times in one regard, but a lot of fun to see them make that transition and go to the next level.
Oh man, you're going to have to give me some tips then, because I have a 12-year. He just entered middle school. and pretty soon he'll be making that transition. So I'll be
Yeah.
looking forward to calling on you to kind of give me some guidance.
Well, there's no manual for being adult. As we know, all these kids are wired different and have different experience and personalities, and so you just got to roll with it. But it is a lot of fun, and to see them grow into a new level of
Absolutely.
it's just amazing the advanced skills that they have now. Everything's computer based. We
Right.
didn't even have
Right.
computers when I was growing up, so
Oh man.
they're so far ahead of us. It's not even funny.
It is not even funny. And, who would have thought that, platforms like YouTube would be teaching our kids actually good things, valuable things that they're
Yeah.
taking to entirely new levels that we didn't have any kind of opportunity when we were their age. So
Yeah.
you're definitely right about that. Well, John, it was wonderful spending this time with you. We're definitely going to be looking out for more that's coming from Integrity Solutions and the good work you're doing. And thank you for being on the show today.
Samuel, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful day.
Absolutely. And that was John Crowder. It's always nice to revisit the fundamentals of selling effectively, especially when, of course, it's based on integrity and you're bringing true value. And revisit those principles, keep them at the forefront of your mind. And that's why I really enjoyed this episode. You might be listening to this and you might be in the field and thinking to yourselves, some of these things I'm doing, or some of the things I'm not doing, or I could be doing better, or I know there's more out there that I should be doing. And I want to know what that is. If you're someone that wants to really improve your performance this year, then again, visit evolveyoursuccess.com, select Improve Sales Performance, take a look at our sales training program, and let's get you to where you need to be and get you effective, whether that be a promotion, whether that be a rotation in a different business unit within your company, whether that be a new company altogether. Let us help you get there. Visit evolveyoursuccess.com, select Improve Sales Performance. And if you're someone that's listening to this episode and you're thinking to yourself, I just want to get a position where I can utilize some of these tools, then let us help you do it. Go to evolveyoursuccess.com, select Attain Medical Sales Role, fill out our short application, schedule a time with us, and let's talk about the Medical Sales Career Builder program. That program can literally change your entire life by putting you in a medical sales position where you're making the right money that you deserve, you're helping patients in ways you didn't even think were possible, and you're on a career track to truly live a full life and a full career. So I'm going to say it again, visit evolveyoursuccess.com, and of course, keep on listening to the Medical Sales Podcast, because we're going to continue to bring you innovative guests that are making waves in the industry and doing things to add so much value. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a couple programs that show you exactly how to break into the medical sales industry, become a top-performing medical sales professional, and also how to masterfully navigate your career to executive-level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolveyoursuccess.com. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews.